Hello everyone and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave, the Army of Otters here. And today we're going to be looking at the NCRCF, otherwise known as the NCR Correctional Facility, otherwise known as the New California Republic Correctional Facility. And this video was recommended to me by Little Dre, so as always, thank you so much for the support, Little Dre. So, as the name would imply, this prison is controlled by the NCR, or I should say was controlled by the NCR, because now it's controlled by the powder gangers. When the NCR expanded east and moved into the Mojave wasteland, they needed a way to keep their supply lines going, and they primarily used the railroads. So they garrisoned this old prison, and by the late 2270s, the New California Republic began sending its prison population east, forcing the convicts to work setting up railroads and using dynamite to blow away obstructions. This is why the powder gangers have so much dynamite. However, as I just said, the NCR Correctional Facility used to belong to the NCR, but at the beginning of Fallout New Vegas, it belongs to the powder gangers. And the reason for this was, as the NCR continued its war effort against Caesar, it led to a dwindling body count among the faculty at the NCRCF. And eventually, the anarchist Samuel Cook staged a breakout around 2281, overthrowing the prison staff and killing them, and then taking control of the prison. After that, Eddie was put in charge of the prison, and Samuel Cook moved to Vault 19. And then during the quest, I Fought the Law, you can either choose to assist the powder gangers against the NCR, or you can choose to assist the NCR in taking back the prison. Now, it's not such an easy decision because once you dive more and more into the correctional facility, you can kind of see that the NCR was using it as a form of slave labor. The labor that they were getting out of here was very high, and they gave no compensation. Of course, the people inside were prisoners, but there's obviously a moral dilemma here that it's up for you, the player, to decide. So let's check out the NCR Correctional Facility. So here you can see the location of the NCRCF on the Pip-Boy, located just east of Good Springs and south of Sloan, northeast of Prim. Now, I wanted to cover some of the surrounding area around the prison. Now, in a previous video, I talked about the powder ganger camp, so we'll be looking a little bit closer. On the southern end of the prison, we can find a pair of bones, probably belonging to Brahmin and a human, 2 humans, along with a pack of coyotes nearby. So perhaps the coyotes were having a snack, or perhaps it's completely unrelated. Who knows? Now, further down, we can find a skeleton that appears to have been shot in the head, probably by a sniper. Perhaps it was killed by NCR a long time ago, or it might be more recent. Then towards the entrance, we can find a pair of signs that are kind of interesting. These are special signs within Fallout. This one reads, "Please do not stand when shots are fired." Obviously a pre-war sign. And a little bit further down, we can find a sign which reads, "No trespassing. Prison area. Violators will be prosecuted." And then even further down, we can find a sign that says, "Absolutely no entry. Trespassers will be prosecuted." So these are all clearly pre-war signs, and I have to admit, this prison is in pretty good shape for being, 200 years since the Great War. Then outside the entrance, we can find some campers. Not sure what these are for or why they're here. Perhaps they were used by the NCR or the US military before the war. Who knows, but they are here, and they do provide a bed for you to sleep in. Further down, we can find some handrail cars, and these were probably used by the NCR in order to get the prisoners to work on the railroad. Also, you have to be careful when walking around this area, as there are a lot of powder mines. Further down, we can find an exploded body, or what I assume is an exploded body, along with some Brahmin bones. And then along the road, we can find one of my favorite signs in Fallout, which says, "Notice, hitchhikers may be escaped prisoners." And the reason I love this sign is because the person on the sign is actually Vault Boy from the Cannibal perk in Fallout New Vegas, just dressed in a black and white shirt, obviously prisoner clothes. And then even further up, we can find a sign which reads, "Prison Chain Gang Ahead." So some pretty interesting signage, and finally another one of those hitchhiker signs. Apparently there are 7 of them along the roadway. Clearly these are from the pre-war era. Then also outside the prison we can find a billboard advertising the Atomic V8. I just thought it was quite humorous that there would be a commercial billboard right outside a prison, but it is near a highway, and so I guess it makes sense. And then as we approach the prison, sometimes when you fast travel here, coyotes or wild dogs will spawn, and if you don't have the animal friend perk, they will attack you. So here I killed the dog, which is a little bit sad, but hey, I didn't have a choice. Upon entering the visitor center, there will usually be a lot of powder gangers in here. However, I helped the NCR take it back, so they're all dead. On the counter, you can find a Star Sunset Sarsaparilla bottle cap, but there isn't a whole lot of other loot inside the visitor center. In the courtyard area, we can find a lot of the evidence from the hard labor that the NCR was forcing these prisoners to go through. We can find a lot of mine carts, handrail cars, along with a lot of outhouses that appear to be in very poor condition. And again, just lots of mine carts indicating the labor that these prisoners were doing, primarily working and expanding the railroad so the NCR could keep its supply line going. Then we can find the prisoner cell block, A and B. These cell blocks are accurately named with the last names of the prisoners, A through J, and then K through Z. So obviously this was pre-war era. Inside there were still some powder gangers who were still alive, and thankfully Cass took them out for me. Now in prisoner block B, we can actually get some good loot. In this ammunition box, there was almost 200 caps, 173, which would be really good for a low-level player, along with the schematics for a powder charge. And inside prisoner block A, there isn't a whole lot, but you can actually steal some ammunition, some medical supplies, and some armor, powder ganger armor, if you're interested in it or if you're in the early game. But really not a lot in here. Now, if you've noticed, the alarm, the prison alarm is blaring as soon as I enter the prison. And if you help the NCR during the quest, I Fought the Law, this alarm will forever be blaring and it will never stop. Over by the administration building, we can find a water pump. However, the water is very irradiated, hinting towards the very poor conditions that the prisoners had to work through. I'm surprised some of them weren't ghouls. And then within the administration building, you would normally find Eddie. However, of course, I helped the NCR, so Eddie is now dead, and it's now occupied by NCR troops. On the top floor, you can find a copy of Lying Congressional Style, so obviously pick that up. I picked up that skill book a long time ago in this playthrough, so unfortunately I don't have any footage of it, but it's located in the room with all of the filing cabinets. And then upstairs we can find the Warden's terminal, and on this terminal we can learn a lot about the NCR. Basically, this terminal tells us about how the Warden knew he did not have the men to properly secure the prison, and that he was really afraid of an uprising that would result in his death and all of his men's death. He also talks about Samuel Cook and how a lot of the younger prisoners were taking a liking to him and his anti-NCR dogma. Of course, Cook is an anarchist, and he is the one that led the uprising against the NCR. And real quick, I wanted to mention that if you just kill all of the powder gangers without doing the quest, I Fought the Law, usually a prospector will move into the prison. So kind of interesting. But if you help the NCR, there's no prospector. Now, I want to talk about the real-life equivalent, because like many locations in Fallout New Vegas, the NCR Correctional Facility is based on the real-world Southern Nevada Correctional Center. This is an abandoned men's prison in Jean, Nevada. Jean is a town that's close to Good Springs, and in Fallout New Vegas, we can find Jean's Skydiving, which is also near the prison and is a real skydiving company in real life. Now, this prison was closed in 2000 before being reopened in 2006 and then closed again in 2008. However, since then, there's been a lot of debate about reopening the prison, but there is not a lot about this prison on the internet. There is one picture I could find, and then on Google Maps, I could pull some images from the street view and satellite imagery, as you can see now. Now, I was really surprised to find that there is a lone Starbucks out here in the middle of nowhere in Jean, Nevada. However, this is on the road towards Las Vegas, so I guess it makes sense. Now, one more thing I wanted to mention is actually the NCRCF being taken over by the Powder Ganger is why there are death claws in Quarry Junction. Basically, the Powder Gangers made it too dangerous for merchants to travel on that route to New Vegas, and as there were less people traveling, the death claws moved into Quarry Junction. obviously leading to the situation that we have now in Fallout New Vegas. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Unexplored Mojave. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comments section below. And, as always, until next time.